so I just checked out the new Black Star RS series. And while it looks pretty cool, it's not really what I'm looking for.
I know. I wasn't surprised though. It doesn't sound bad, but... Come on. It's a Black Star.
What do you mean?
You're kidding me, right? No guitar god has ever played them.
So what? If it's a good amp, then it should hold its own without someone famous being associated with it.
You are kidding me. How the fuck do you expect to play classic blues or jazz on that no-name little amp?
Blues and jazz? Oh, okay. For a second I thought they are all about poor people playing interesting music about their hardships. But then I remembered it's just a bunch of pompous trust fund babies crying about their terrible life while playing tens of thousands of dollars worth of gear. And sounding repetitive and annoying as shit.
What was that?
I mean, it lacked the higher gain a bit.
Oh, my. Why would you ever need any more gain than that? It's too much as it is. Besides, my sensitive ears and limitless knowledge of boutique gear told me that it wouldn't be an all-tube amp if they added any more gain.
You do realize that most high-gain amps don't have diode clipping? And, not wishing to spoil, this amp in particular does have a hybrid preamp.
How gauche of them. What terrible people to pull such a thing on us unsuspecting buyers. This amp sounds horrible.
Yeah, no, and who cares, if it sounds good and it's right.
I only like good tube overdrive. You can't get that from anything besides a vintage Fender amp with a Clon Centaur.
Wow, I know where this is going. But please continue. I want to bask in your knowledge of great tone.
Very well. For your information, simpleton, if you want good tone, you need an amp played by a master. Like a Dumble or a Fender or another boutique hand-wired amplifier. You can also get a Blues Breaker or some early model Marshall. That's what the gods play. All you need then is a Clon Centaur. If you can't afford one, then you're not poor enough to play blues and jazz and sing about your difficult life with the masters. If you really have no other choice, then you might survive with tone by buying a different $400 overdrive and sending it to be modded for more tone.
This is truly an eye-opener. I bow to your intellect and even more so, to your unquestionably great tone. But, might I ask, what about a JCM 800? Or maybe even a DSL?
Are you deaf? How can you stand a buzzy tone? A Marshall with a master volume is not really a Marshall.
But, great keeper of tone, what if I need to get tube drive at a more humane level?
That's why you should get to Clon Centaur. Only it can provide true tube overdrive. The Clon Centaur is tube. 12x7 tubes are not tubes. Also I love fuzz pedals. They sound so tube-y.
Wow, wow, and again, for good measure. Wow, what about some other amps?
Ah, yes. Trainwrecks are fine pieces of gear as well.
I was wondering about an orange amp.
Orange amps are sucky one-trick ponies. Only the most vintage orange by Matt and are worthy to even be in the same room with me.
They are great, but I was thinking of an orange rocker amp.
That is a buzzy piece of shit made for metal. How can you expect to sound like Jimmy Clapton or Eric Hendricks on that? It sucks. You need a clean amp and some good pedals for that. True. Tube. Tone. Also, a Fender amp is key if you want to play other good soulful music like funk or...
Fuck off. Go suck on a radioactive jazz stain, you sodding poser. And for everyone else out there, please remember, if an amp sounds good to you, then it doesn't really matter what make it is or what signal path it has. And, while some pedals can offer a bit of variety if need be, only tone-deaf people and posers will ever argue that a pedal can sound even remotely like a tube amp. And, no master volume amps are nice if you have the proper room for them. But nothing will ever beat a properly designed high-gain all-tube amp with a good master volume, live or in the studio.
But Jimmy Clapton is God.
No, and please try and be more original. Funk the jazz and blues. Thrash on.